Hello, everybody. How are y'all? Let me close this curtain again. I didn't close it long enough, and that's a lot of sun coming in that window, a lot of solar energy. So, how are you? It's so good to see you. I will show you, I have got so many things on this counter to talk about today. So I'll try not to waste any time. Plus, boy, this sun is bright. Plus, we also have to finish the photos of the Houston Quilt Show. No, pardon me. It was a different quilt show that was it Mayor? No, Mitty went to. Boy, am I confused. But we have pictures of that. We have pictures of my quilt party. This light is going to drive me nuts. Let me see if I can do something with my curtains real quickly. So, I tell you what, this light changes in this room so often. And depending on what time of day and what season it is. So that's much better. It's not perfect, but it's much better. I just took the curtains. I didn't make the curtains so that they could go all the way across the window. They're just decorative hanging down the sides, but I took them and pinned them together. So, hello. I am sorry I was running a few minutes late today. It's no matter what, I'm always busy. I was working on a really cool thing that I have to show you. And because I have a trimmer in my left hand and I'm so dominant left hand that it took me 2 hours to do what used to maybe take 20 minutes. But I wanted to show it to you. So I think I saw Marsha here. Yay, Marsha. Did the groundhog? Oh, I don't even know. I know the last few times he's been very wrong. So I've lost my faith in him. So I know a little juju makes the world go around and makes things kind of humorous, but so much for the groundhog. I do know that in the movie Groundhog Day, which I love to watch, that the groundhog that was used in that scene when he was driving the pickup truck to drive off the cliff bit the heck out of him down to the bone. And that would have been painful. So I don't think the groundhog appreciated being in a movie. But anyway, it bit Bill Murray, who was the star. Coming on today, something popped into my email box. And I told Mark, I want to talk about it. And it has been a crazy few months. It's no surprise that all my adult life, I've been very involved in politics, volunteering, voting for everything, helping people run for campaigns in the past. And even this time, writing postcards, I felt so strongly. Since the election, I've kind of gone quiet about it. And that's probably how I'm mostly going to stay. Only when it's something really big that I feel like I can't control myself. But this is how I feel right now about the current political climate. It scares me, but I also have depression and anxiety. I have to control what comes into my mind and my body because as we get this age, we have a certain number of years left to live. I get to decide. And this really changed once when I had kidney cancer, which is now gone, thank you, and my right kidney. But I had to decide what things were worth my emotional energy. Because your emotions control your body functions. controls your body hormones, cortisol, all of that. And for someone like me, if I get upset or depressed, it affects my blood pressure, for everybody, for anybody who has certain couple health conditions. So I had decided I have turned all television news off for several reasons. On one side, the channels lie about what's going on. The other side, they sensationalize. And I just can't handle it. There's nothing I can do about the outcome of this election and about what choices are being made right now. There's nothing I can do. If there was, I'd be right there doing whatever I could. But there's nothing I can do about it. And it's up to other people who have more power to fight or to protect, to make sure that people aren't mistreated. It breaks my heart. So what I do, I've chosen to step back, and I'm going to stick with that. There's no reason for me to watch a slow train wreck. It will just affect my depression and my anxiety. So what I've decided to do is take all my energy and put it into the crafts and the arts that I love. Put into my relationship with Mark and my children, my grandchildren, and just make my safe, happy place. So that's why you won't see me talking much. And everyone has to make their own decisions. And the majority voted for how things are right now. So we're just going to, who knows, I may catch a headline on written news. I still love my Washington Post, my New York Times, but I'm not going to allow myself to be churned up because it's not good for my health. And if I allow myself to be churned up and it affects my health, it's only my fault. I can't blame anyone else. I'm in control of what comes into my mind and my body. So that's why I don't talk much about all of that anymore. And when and if there's a chance I have to do something about it, then I will. But I'm just one little person sitting here in North Carolina, and I feel extremely powerless. I voted, that's all I can do. So that's that. I wanted to set the tone. So what popped up in my email was a letter from Sakwa. I have a lot of respect for Sakwa. They are a wonderful organization that give voices to artists like us, everyday artists. They came out because there's a problem. And I thought I would tell you about the problem. I will then tell you what I am going to do about it, but it's up to you to decide what you want to do about it. Sakwa had a global exhibit planned to run through the end of December 2026. This was all worked out in the last year or two. This is not a new thing. And they had sent out to any organization, they had sent out pictures of every work and a biography or artist statement about every work. So there was no surprise what was in this body of art. Personal expression art. Okay. Now, the American Quilter Society has come back now and said, there are two pieces in your exhibit that we will not allow you to display. And no questions. They tried to negotiate. They tried to talk about it. No negotiations. You either take those two people's work out of this or you take everything out. We're done. Now, that bothers me. And you can have opinions if whether you agree with it or not, I understand. What I don't agree with is censorship of any kind, whether it's taking books out of the library, magazines, deciding what TV shows can be on or not, what artwork is presentable or not. And we all need the ability to say what our story is. We don't have the right to lie. We don't have the right, in my opinion, we don't have the right to slander without merit. But this is no surprise. This art has been a part of this collection and this show. So they have now decided, and this letter is from Lilo Bowman, the SACWA board president. They had to think long and hard because this is a big decision. But they said nowhere in their code of ethics, in their way of doing business, are they going to censor the artistic members. When you start censoring, you're going down a very dangerous road, and it's hard to recover from. And I am going to, if you don't want to see this art, you don't have to. But there's nothing in a book or an artwork that should be scary. It's one person's voice. And you know what? We're all supposed to have our voice, aren't we? But it seems to be changing. Here was, because why all of a sudden? Since this contract was signed in 2024, this was done. This was done and dusted, as they say. Now it's coming up. So here is one of the artworks. And this artwork is titled Origin. And it is Yvonne Eiten Scott. It is her work. It is all kinds of different fabrics, layer upon layer, to show a new direction in life, regeneration, eruption, evolvement, as each layer builds. I don't see anything offensive about this. I don't see anything threatening about this. So, and the little tentacles reaching out are reaching out for connections of materials, human contact, feelings, or experiences. I see nothing frightening in that. Then here is the other work of art that the American Quilt Society has now said is not acceptable to be shown at a quilting art show. People know what they're going to see at a quilting art show. This one is by Laura Shaw Fight. It says, your mother, your daughter, your sister, your grandmother, you. And here's that work. I see nothing offensive. I see nothing. The artist's statement. After the leak of the draft Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, I felt the need to work through my anger and frustration, knowing that a fundamental human right to essential health care was soon to be lost for, where's the rest of the words? I might have missed, I'm sorry, I left this upstairs. But this was her feelings at the time of hearing that. Now, what are quilts but expressions of how we're feeling, of the legacy we want to leave behind? That's what quilts are. And it gives women a voice. And it's given women a voice throughout time when they didn't have a voice, when they were considered property. So we have to think long and hard, this censorship. And I appreciate Lilo Bowman sending that email out to clarify their position. I have decided personally, I do believe my American Quilt Society, I do believe that it has already run out. Yeah, American Quilter Society. I am going to not renew it because somewhere, somehow, we all have to take our stand. You make whatever decision's right for you, because that's what this country is supposed to be about, not catering to one specific person or ideology. And when we give that right up, we cease becoming the United States of America. So I'm going to shut up now and get on with all the fun stuff I've got. I just thought this was a really strong topic at this particular junction. And that's what I will do as these next few years, who knows how many years, will play out. And just don't forget, when we start losing rights of some, it's not long before we lose the rights to all. So please keep that in mind. And let's talk about something much better for the soul and for the spirit. And let's talk about quilting. Okay, what do I start with? I've got a pile of, let's see who's here first. Yep, it is the First Amendment, Marsha. It truly is. And it doesn't mean, it doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that we give up any of our rights. In fact, I have a sticker upstairs that it shows a suffragette holding a sign saying, same old crap, different century. All right, so that's part of that. Oh no, Lisa said she had a groundhog when she was a girl. His name was Doodlebug. He bit my dad's thumb and his teeth went all the way through. He bit him because he was hurt and at the vet, and Dad was holding him. And I bet you that your dad understood that he was hurting. So it's funny. I was telling my sister who lived near farms about, we almost hit a groundhog on the way to camping. And she said, oh, well, the farmers were happy because they don't like groundhogs. But I have to admit, not all of the creatures on this earth are enjoyed by all people. But that's cute. Lisa was the first person here. I hope this means you're feeling better. I jotted you a quick little note the other day because I'm still thinking about you. Lisa was so sick at the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party, and I felt so bad for her. But anyway, and in fact, one of the reasons I haven't done a couple of the things I had wanted to do today was that there were a couple days I just felt a little under the weather. And I think since George and I have had, since Mark and I have had 7 vaccinations, we don't really get sick. We just kind of get a little sniffly, a little bit scratchy, and just feel a little bit puny. So there were sometimes I had to take a break. It was funny because Wednesday I woke up all full of spirit, or as we used to say, piss and vinegar. But I scrubbed the bathroom and the bathroom floor, and I did some grooming on the dogs. And I was just running around cleaning the kitchen. I made a big pot of beef stroganoff and a big pot of beef stew because I had just bought stew beef from the grocery store. And so we put away probably 6 to 8 quarts of ready-made meals now. All we have to do is just make the pasta, but we've got the sauce, or in the case of the beef stew, make some nice crunchy bread. We've got the beef stew. And we had a very productive week with our meal making. Mark on Thursday made 5 or 6 quarts to put away, plus that night's dinner of tortilla soup. Oh my gosh. So I've always been kind of silly funny by saying that a good homemade chicken soup cures anything. So when I was eating it, I was like, oh, this is so good. And he said, I'm sure you're going to feel much better tomorrow. But what makes us feel good is now to have, quite a few meals in the freezer. So that I love that system I have, and I'm going to stick with it because I can play more. You know, it only takes a few minutes more to make a big pot of something than just that night's dinner. So why not just make it and freeze it and it's there? So let me see. So Sonia's here. Hi, Sonia. And Debbie's here. Hi, sweetheart. And Marsha. I'm so glad to see Marsha back. We have missed her, haven't we? So good to see you. You didn't get much snow, not even for Christmas? Oh, I'm sorry. Charlene Lawson. Yes, Charlene, I don't know if Bonnie is here, but I was thinking we've got to wrap up our UFO. And I know you're one of the persons who have kept up each month with the drawings. So it's time to see who won a gift certificate. So let's see if Bonnie's here. I think she's the other one who's been really working on things. So, okay, Joe Sows is here. Yay. Oh, you've lined up lots of projects. Good for you. And you know what? We can just make our own little world. And I'm going to make sure I plant some pretty flowers this summer and just kind of concentrate on what means the most to me. So let's see. I just heard a beep on the floor or bump on the floor. I don't know if Mark was trying to get my attention, but I agree. Oh, Marsha Hon is here too. We got two Marshas in the building. That's wonderful. Mary's here. What is the now, I don't know if I should show this because I thought I had quit talking about it, but I'll just show it and not say a word, okay? All right. It says, whoops. So I had to say something, okay? Were you able to read it? I hope I left enough time. Hello, Mayor. Hi, Marty Banich. Yeah, I figured I won't talk about it, but I'll wear it. Okay? And if you don't agree, you don't have to read it. All right. So let me see. Where was I? I love when showing something brings, it's always this quandary. You talk about your feelings, you lose some people, you gain some people, and I don't know. It's just the way the world is right now. Yeah, we missed you, Debbie. We know that all around Christmas is really tough. So we just had our last little patch of snow melt. And I think this week it's going to be 60s or up to 70s. So it's just an amazing whirlwind. So, okay, let me go back to see where I was. I don't want to miss any of you. Oh, and another thing, I'm kind of concerned about what prices are going to do. So Mark and I have like, do we have everything we need? Because we might have to just hunker down a little bit, not spend much money. So anyway, okay. Mayor, so good to see you. Let me make sure I've got every. Mayor's saying I can't get motivated to start my cool kaleidoscope, Ricky Timms. I have all the fabric. I've just got to get to cutting. I wish there was a way that when you hit one of these blah moments or one of these kind of, what would you call it, like a barrier that you can't seem to get past, I wish there was a way that I could instantly be at your house and help you cut out the fabric. Doesn't really work that way, but I wish I could. And I don't have, the rest of you, you might know that, oh yes, I would love it if you hit the like button and subscribe. I wish there was a way to just kind of help you. And you know what we might need? We might need to have another Jitsi chat where it's like a Zoom. You can talk, you don't have to type, and we can sit and sew together. I have a feeling we're going to be doing a lot of those the next 4 years. So we can do this, guys. We can do this. It's 60 in Omaha. Are you kidding? That's great. And yeah, I think well, I have a feeling Marty might have been hanging around, but just hasn't spoken up. Oh, you are new. Wonderful, wonderful. We're happy to see you. Happy to see you. So I hope I've touched on, I hope I haven't missed anyone. I hate when I miss people. But yeah, Joso says she's always up for a jitsi. So I think that's what we'll do. Because we've got to turn to each other. This is a community. We're more than just a few chatters. We're more than just passing ships. We are a community, and we are a virtual quilt bee, and we can get together, and we're safe in here. Everyone is welcome at our table. So I just see everybody's, and in fact, I'm going to put my email, Marty, because we have a groups.io. It's a free chat group, and if you write me, if you feel like you'd like to join it, you can just let me know by email and I will send you an invitation. Okay, but I like for you to email me so we keep your email private. All right, let me see. So I was hoping I had to go onto my site in the name part of it and change. Last week I made all these predictions of stuff I was going to have done this week. Are you kidding me? So I made this one new birdie block. Just this. Unbelievable. But I'm hoping, I'm still committed to finishing this, to finishing the New Year's Day mystery that Mary Mayhem did, to do, there was one other. Oh, it's right here. We'll talk about that soon. I also want to finish up the undersea because I can't wait to make that octopus. I want to get going, get started on the thin line landscape, which is similar to this beautiful artwork that was in the magazine. Let me see. Oh, I do have the person, Teresita Leo from Buenos Aires. So isn't that just beautiful? But this is what we're going to do. I want to drop a pattern and have available. So if you're kind of in a slump and you're not sure what you want to do, you'll have a free pattern. Now, I did finish some of the days I was feeling a little puny. I didn't want to go sit out at a sewing machine, so I finished winding all of my bobbins. Bonnie was so nice to give me the information. Here is a nice collection of the hand embroidery needles. I have been watching and reading all kinds of things about hand embroidery because I have only been a very casual hand embroiderer in the past. That's hard to say, embroiderer. I've only been a casual, and I don't want to give you any information that's not right. Hi, Diane Henningsgard. Oh, I love you. Thank you very much. And I have my email for anyone who stops by on our Groups.io site. Any quilt I make on here, I also make a free pattern to go with it. So that if anyone would like to get those, they're right on our Groups.io site. And believe it or not, in another less than 2 weeks, it's going to be our 8th anniversary of our time to quilt. 8 years. And I hope Bonnie stops by today because she's been here almost the whole time. And I appreciate it. And I know that normally with these things, people kind of come and go. I'm that way with the channels that I like. And I'll watch something for a little bit and then move to something else. And then I'll sometimes come back to something. So I do understand that. So to go along, what we're going to do for hand embroidery, I used to have 2 shows a week. I think I just don't have that much energy anymore. So now it's just Sunday. But what I want to try to do is do a landscape and then do something interesting. So many of us who love quilting also love basket weaving and clothes sewing and bobbin lace or whatever. I have so many things that I love. So I bought some. It was supposed to be linen fabric. Turned out it's part linen, part rayon. Rayon, but it had a weird smell to it. So I washed it, aired it out to dry, and then pressed it when it was still damp, which is a really good thing to do with anything that has rayon in it and linen especially. Now, with rayon, you have to be careful of the temperature of your iron. But I used to work at a living history museum and I was the costumer. So I am very aware of what it takes. Linen is an amazing fabric made out of the flax plant. Long process. It's the stems, and they have to beat them. They have to soak them to let them decompose, to let the outside layer come off. That there are some wonderful YouTube videos about how to go from planting to fabric, and I highly recommend you look those up. So this week, one of the things I love to do, and maybe what I should try to do is do a little short thing in between and cover some of the other little things I love. This dot painting, I'm crazy about. I've been doing it now 2 years, 2.5 years, and I love it. It's very relaxing. I told Mark I used to like to paint, but I don't paint often anymore. And I think the reason I don't paint is it's a lot. It's a lot to set up and all of that. And I definitely don't do oil anymore. I like acrylics because they dry fast and I can cover up my mistakes, which I make plenty of. I can cover up my mistakes very easily. So I've been liking making these, but there's been a problem. I tended to use the metallics or the shimmer, and the problem is when the light shines on them, it's kind of hard to see the detail. Plus, I found that the colors were a little muddier because I buy the best deal on paint. Well, then I realized I'm really sticking with this. You can get these little canvas covered boards. You see the edges, canvas covered boards pretty cheaply. You've got to look for the deals. But I saw one the other day. I was looking at a slightly smaller size. This is 6x6 or 5x5. Let me see. I have a ruler right here. Yeah, this is 6x6. This is a little big. No one needs anything too big, I don't think. I'm not good enough to do the big ones. So I'm thinking 4x4 or 5x5 would be just a little better. And I found that I could get 100 4x4 canvas covered boards for $35. Do you know how long 100 boards would last me? Pretty good. So, and I just paint them black with a matte black and then use the paints. The paints are probably, if anything, what costs the money if you want to get better paints. The tools are very cheap, and sometimes you saw me over Christmas use the clear plastic ornaments that I would take and put black paint on the inside and then just paint the mandala on the outside. So those you can get like 25 of them for $10 or $11. But I talked to Mark this week and I said, Mark, I really love doing this. The problem is my paints aren't good enough anymore. You can use cheap little acrylics for quite a while, and it took me. I'm still a beginner. Believe it or not, I'm still a beginner. But what you want when you like doing any kind of dot painting, you want to get acrylic paint with a high pigment load and with the right viscosity. Viscosity is like the water tension, it holds the paint together, because the best that I've seen of these, you can take and put a dot of paint and have it round off and have this perfect little dimensional dot. And I said, I bought a tube of medium to try to thicken the cheaper paints, and that was tricky. But mainly, I wasn't getting the bright colors. Everything was a little duller. And I understand the pigments are expensive to make those colors. So I went to Jerry's Artorama. I'm in North Carolina, and it's only 2 hours away from me, I realized. I ordered these on Tuesday, and they were here Thursday. I couldn't believe it. But I just wanted to show you, look at the difference between high pigment and, oh my gosh, Nazrin's here, Polly's here. Our Nazrin is here. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. Oh, what fun we're having today. Thank you for coming. But if you'll notice, you'll see a vibrancy with the new colors. And hopefully I won't have to add any kind of medium to them. But if you want, you can. These, I should have written down the name of the paint, but they were on sale. I hope they still are. You could get a 4-ounce tube. Oh, here it is. It's Creative Inspiration. And this 4-ounce tube for $1.99. And then they have a couple collections where you can get like 10 of these for $18.95. That's even less than $1.99. I ended up getting 16 of these tubes because I did 10 in one kit and then a few extra of the colors. You don't get to choose which of the colors you get in the kit. You can get a straight primary. These I got were called extra brights, and that's what I wanted for my dot painting. When you buy in a tube, the nicest thing is, there's a good chance that it's full bodied. Watch when I squirt it up. Do you see that? It comes straight up, and then see how it flattens to a slight round. That's exactly what you want. And for that price, I think I got 16 tubes, 4-ounce tubes for $28. Because I am cheap. But these were quite a deal. And I would say, if you want to improve your acrylic paints, go to either Blick's or Jerry's Artorama. And especially go when the paint's on sale, because I love a sale, that. And get the paints in 2 days. Now, I did notice with the yellow paints, I have to put 2 coats. So the yellow was the only one. Every other paint had really good body and did a really good job. So I'm still working on how to leave enough space, because with dot painting, seeing a ring of the background around the dot is really important. So make sure, the biggest mistake I think I made was crowding everything in. And so, but I think you can definitely, when you look at the blues and purples, they're a little bit more brilliant. And what I will do with the metallic ones, maybe there's some cases I'll use all metallic still, but mainly my metallics are going to be my accent color, because you can use a matte color, or these might be gloss, I don't know, but you can use matte colors and then put a dot of the metallic as a smaller center dot in the first dot. So, like I'll show you here, the dot on the dot. See the purple in the center? It's a darker purple with a lighter purple over it. So I told Mark, I love it. One of the reasons I love it, after sitting at the sewing machine all day, or not all day, but after sitting at the sewing machine, I can do this in my recliner. I have a lap desk. I have a blast. And with doing dot painting, it's not, you don't have to be afraid of spilling, knocking something over and spilling it. I even put my water in a heavy, small ball jar, so it's not easy to tip over. One of the things I love is getting these. I think I got them off of Amazon, these little cups, and you don't use that much paint for dot painting, but you have to make lots of different shades and hues. And so, like here, I put in a darker blue, put some white in it, and you can either add a textile medium to thin the paint if it's gotten a little stiff, or you can use water. That's the beauty of acrylics. The greens I have were a little darker and I wanted lime, so I added yellow. It's very good practice in helping, because I don't want to buy each shade. I said, you can mix them yourself, and you quickly learn how to get lime with a regular green. Add yellow. That's what makes lime. So to me, that's kind of fun. It's a challenge. It gives me something else to pay attention to. I love it. So I just thought I'd tell you about the good deals. Also, I do believe ink tints is on sale. Anyway, at Jerry's, he has a wonderful selection of different, you can buy just the single pencils that you go through the most. Now, I don't know if I showed you this last week, but I told you I do all kinds of different things. Quilting's my first love, but there's so many. It's like deciding which is your favorite child. It's just love them all. I got now this is going to be hard to show you because of the light in the room, but I got an Ethan Allen mailing catalog, and I love the colors in it because it's all the most trendy colors. So you have this different sages, you have the different tans, grays, charcoals. And so I'm this week, or was it last week? I forget, but I made these and they're not finished yet. I need to take my paper scissors and trim up the edges so they have a nice firm, sharp edge. And that's even pretty easy because you just lay the scissors flat on top, and as you turn the bead, you just give it a little trim like this, and it'll give a nice finished edge. I also have some of the emery boards that last forever, and once I cut it with the scissors, then I'll go over it. And then the last thing I do is put on some triple thick varnish, acrylic varnish on them, and then they are beautiful. So I have a specific purpose in mind for these, and I will be showing you when I get these all finished. But it's amazing that this was just, in essence, junk mail, although quality junk mail. And every few 6 months or so, when I get a new Ethan Allen catalog, or it's not really even a catalog, it's just probably a 8-page mailer, and all the pages, the paper itself is so nice. So let me bring you back up here. Oops. I even taped my camera plug-in, keep it charged, keeps popping out. Anyway, so that I wanted to show you this week. Now, in just a moment, I've got my color wash quilt up, but on the white rolling design wall, do you see what's there? Today's project. And there is a free pattern on the website. It's And from So She Can. And anyway, let me get this back up a little. All right. So let me see. We are going to have a drawing for free patterns I brought back from my um, retreat in November. And I thought, you know what? They're really inexpensive to mail, and you can mail them media mail, which makes them even more inexpensive. So, but first, we're going to do that. I've got the mystery quilt, the progress of it, and then we'll work on the woven heart table runner. I cut the fabric and had it made in a matter of 3 hours, 4 hours. So pretty good deal. And those are my kind of projects. All right, so now we'll bring the camera back down. This is a project I did using a silicone stencil of a more dense design. I got the stencils because I also like doing polymer clay and I wanted to have something for texture. But when I looked at them, I thought, what else can I do with those stencils? So let me bring you down and show you this. Has anyone ever designed a more complicated Bargello quilt? Having trouble finding info to do it? Ooh. Yeah, some of those Bargellos, some of them you really, oops, now I know what my problem is. Yes, I taped the plug in for the power for the camera, but I taped it a little too tightly. So when I move it, yeah, so let me bring it down. All right, I think that'll work better. Sorry about this. Okay, come on, you can do it. Oh, let me put my glasses on. See, Bonnie needs to be here to tell me, Deb, wear your reading glasses. Stop being vain. Okay, so now I have it plugged in. Yep. And then turn this. All right. All right. Now, what I did, let me find a different one like this one. Right now, I'm in my rainbow phase for a whole lot of reasons, but I just love rainbows and the colors. So with this one, what I did is I took white acrylic paint, I mixed it with some baking soda, which made it thick, pretty thick. Then I used a sponge brush and I put the stencil on the fabric, and then I brushed the paint across the stencil. I love this one with the roses. I think it is so pretty. So what I did is I did the same thing. This is an ombre orange, so that's why this looks lighter. But if I turn it around, it's a little darker. But anyway, I did this. So I did the background, and then I did a circle with the same pattern with that thickened paint. And then when it was all dry, I put a pressing cloth over it and I pressed the paint in place. Okay, so now by doing this, I have like a positive and a negative with this. So this went on top of just the plain fabric. Then I put a plain circle on top of the stenciled fabric. And with this one, you can kind of see the design underneath. Now, I could cut out, and maybe I will, I don't know, but I could cut out the back part of this. It does tend to make a quilt a little weaker, but I appliqued these on, and that was fun to see if I could make my stitches invisible. And when you've been hand sewing as long as I have, you better do a good job. But these are all rainbow colors. So now I've gotten 24 of them made. Well, 23. I've misplaced one of them, but I've gotten these made. Now what I have to decide, how do I lay these out? What do I put where? Like I've got the rosy purple, but then just the straight purple, the bluer purple, you know. But I've got all of these blocks made. Now what? How do I decide to put them in a quilt? So what I was doing this morning that took hours is I took a picture of two of the blocks at a time. Then this is cardstock, and these are my paper scissors. So now I come in, and for y'all, Mark cut these out for me. He used a one of those cutters, those inexpensive cutters that you slide the little thing along once you get the fabric lined up, and when you push that edge, it has a razor knife. So, but I wanted to show you. I took the pictures, I downloaded them onto my Word program, then I cropped them to get their sides straight, to try to get them as even as possible. Then I tried to make them all the same size. Some of them are probably a fraction off, but it's good enough to do what I'm going to do. But cardstock, in fact, I think we need to buy new. That I use it for a lot of different purposes. So now I cut them out, and that's why it's important to try. For number one, when you take a picture of this, picture right over the block. Don't be this side or that side because it skews the block. So you can put all the blocks on the floor at the same time and take one picture of all of them. What I did is just put two at a time on my lap desk. And in fact, let me show you something. It's not the exact same color. This is this block. So you can see that, the quick printing kind of dulled them down a little bit. But you put them on the paper. I used 2 sheets of paper, and I had 12 on each one. And then you just cut them out. So now, and I wanted cardstock because what this is really good for is you take and lay them out. It's like a puzzle. Instead of trying to move this around on a design wall, you just sit and play with them. And so here, I'm going to show you them. This is one of the best things I ever thought about. I don't know what made me think about it, but I thought, you know what? I've never had a real design wall that I could really use. And by doing this, I just noticed that with the camera and shrinking them, I think you can get some distance away even though you're right there. And this page, these I lightened, these I didn't. And so but that's not, the purpose is not to be beautiful. It's to help you decide what should go where. So anyway, but now this is what I suggest. I suggest you play with them, you move them around, you get something you like. When you've gotten the layout that's the best, then take a photo with your same camera, take a picture of it, and let me see, I think I'm going to leave this here. Take a picture of it so that in case anything gets messed up, you've still, see, they're not quite all the same size, but I think as long as you can try to get together a reasonably accurate layout. And this can help you decide whether you want to, I'll put this here. This can help you decide if you want to have sashing. Sometimes you might see something and go, ooh, that sashing would really pull all of those blocks together. Then let me see. I think I'll do an orange down here. But the nice thing being cardstock, they don't blow away. They don't get brittle immediately. But just kind of decide how you want to work your block out, because as you can see, it makes a big difference. So it makes a big difference. And so you can keep working like that. And, you might want to start in the corner with purples and then maybe add lime green as a nice contrast. You may want to move then to oranges, and let me see. You could move to oranges, to a yellowy orange here, and then maybe do reds. You may want to, let me bring this up a little. Okay, let's see. You might want to finish off with some blues. But this is the benefit of this. Let me see. What if I move that there? But just having all of your blocks laid out. Now, the perfectionist in me wishes I had gotten the right hues in so that, it seemed to make some sense. But the other part of me says, loosen up, girlfriend. And, and how do you want to mix up the blocks with the background versus, let me see. Let me move this here. You see what I'm kind of doing? I'm hoping this will give you an idea. Now, you can do two other things. You can take, once you get this in an order that you like, you can take a picture with your camera and print out that picture. And that way you can take the picture right to your sewing machine and you'll know what block to put where. So it's all entirely up to you. But I feel like this is a pretty good way. It's harder and harder for us to crawl on the floor. So it might be nice to have, something else do the crawling for you. Anyway, I hope that this makes you understand. Couldn't you put them on your printer and print them on the cardstock? You would go through, okay, I'm trying to decide whether you mean I could put these in that order on the printer, but my printer's pretty high up. Or do you mean put the blocks themselves on your printer? If I did that, then, because I shrink these quite a bit, as you can see here, I shrink them because it just makes it easier for me to play with them too. And by visually getting back from them a little, I think it really helps you see parts of the block that, you might not have noticed, or the brightness or whatever that you might not have noticed. So, but anyway, I hope this is a hint that you might want to try, and it's probably my best hint I've ever had. So there we go with that. So I'm hoping to get some good progress on these this week too, because I think it's going to be a really cute quilt. The pictures are a little glum, but the quilt itself has a lot of color. All right, then. Oh, and was it Mitty that sent pictures of a quilt in one of her patients' homes that is a landscape that has upholstery fabric? Because remember when I came last week, I showed you the free sample upholstery fabrics that were on the giveaway table. And I saw a very talented quilter who adds upholstery fabric. She said no fabric is out of line for her quilts and for the landscape. And once I started looking at the free samples, I thought, ooh, that would be really good for a mountain, or this would be good for a field, maybe, with the lines being the rows and the crops and stuff. I brought this down, but I don't have enough done on it yet. But I wanted to show you right here, that whole space is where one of these cute little pinwheels, I had put the two light tans together, and that half of the pinwheel disappeared. So I'm going to be fitting that back in and finishing. This was the New Year's Day mystery quilt. So hopefully I will have a finish on that by next week. We'll see how I do. But I have a feeling, I've only been home from the retreat. Was it 1 week or was it 2? Oh, I don't know. It might have been 2. But in this house, and I wanted to make sure I set back up the box of fabric, the box and the fabric, because both are gifts that Miss Lisa gave me. I had a lady write in and say, "Oh, that box of fabric was so beautiful." And I thought, well, I've got to highlight it again. It's French General fabric. Be still my heart. And that box itself is a treasure. So I love it. All right. Well, we have our drawing that we're going to do here. I showed you my sparrow progress, my one measly block. Oh, did it come undone again? I think I'm going to have to ask Mark to help me try to figure out how not to let that pop out. I planned this week to have work done on the narrow strip landscape pattern. I have been loving learning about 3-dimensional hand embroidery. The old embroidery I would see kind of look, kind of boring. Well, boy, this new stuff is amazing. Some of these people use Q-tips or paintbrush handles and use that to make a 3-dimensional piece of fruit or flower petal or whatever. It's amazing what they do. Some of them do kind of a needle form of crochet to make a 3-dimensional thing for hand embroidery. So I thought, let's look a little into that. I'm not going to spend a ton of time because there are some wonderful hand embroidery channels on YouTube. But I like to always kind of show you, oh, look at this. What do you think? Or, well, this is new. What do you think? Just to kind of expand your world maybe a little bit. We will go back to undersea, the stenciled fabric. The stenciled fabric I just showed you. The dot mandala we talked about. And, okay, I think that's all pretty good. So what we have left to do today is I'm going to show you my woven heart table runner. And this is interesting for a couple of reasons. I went to my stash pile and I used good old natural muslin as the background. And oh yeah, slow stitching. Isn't that cool? It is nice to I was telling somebody in my Myrtle Beach Quilt Party class that one year I touched on 36 different projects. That was too busy. So I'm kind of slowing down a little bit because, it's nice to see all that stuff, but to try to live with it, and I want to get things finished. As I tell people, if it's not finished, it might be garbage, it might be trash, meaning when you're not around anymore, who's going to finish it? Your family might just toss it out. So I don't mean to be cruel, but a finished item is something someone can take home. But if your relatives aren't quilters, they're not going to finish it. So anyway, so here is the woven heart. It was a lot of fun. It was nice to use muslin again. Back when I first learned to quilt in the dinosaur days of the late 1980s, we used muslin for all your backings and a lot in the body of the quilt when you piece things. So I said, you know what? Why not use some muslin? So now make sure it's enough of a quality that it'll hold up, because some muslins are made very inexpensively because people use them for pattern making. They make a mock up of an outfit in muslin to kind of adjust the pattern so that when before they cut the expensive fabric, they have an idea of what they need to change. I'm trying to turn off a fan down here. It is freezing me out. But Grommy and I took a walk yesterday, and in the dark. It was kind of neat. And then we sat on the front porch, looked out across the little pond. It was nice. It was very peaceful. All right. So let me, like I said, I've got, if you want, if you aren't already a member of our group's IO, which is just free, and you want this pattern to do it by February 14th, you can go to shecansew.com and get the pattern for free. Now, what I did is I first, when I saw it, I loved it. I thought, well, I'll make the whole quilt. And then I thought, why? You're having a hard time finishing all kinds of things you still have. So then when I went back to the website, because I wanted to make sure that I got her name, Carolyn Fairbanks, and then I noticed she had a table runner pattern. So here is the table runner pattern. And what I did was try to copy and paste and shrink it all up so you don't have to. It was done as a blog, and I didn't want to print out pages and pages. So very simple. Very, very simple. And I thank her for a lovely pattern. And I just want to talk about a few things. Okay. Let me get this open. And how you make this pattern. I picked out one of these little totes, inexpensive, that used to hold the bedspread, and I went through my reds. There's a really good thing to remember when you're doing reds or red and white quilts, and I learned this from dear Alex Anderson many years ago. And she found that if you add a fabric that has a little touch of orange to it, it makes your reds pop. Now that's something you'd never think about. So this is one of the fabrics I actually used for the quilt. Then I used this for my bigger blocks right there. Anyway, I picked it out. I used a solid red. It's going to be my binding. It's a nice medium deep red. I even used this because if you want a quilt to sparkle, don't pick all one hue. Try to lighten and darken and get a little movement going. And this, something like this, is really sweet. And just make sure that then you put a nice, at least one nice red in the group. Okay, let me pull this out. But I save all of my scraps. Then for my pinks, I used, let me see. I don't think I went this dark. No, I didn't. I did this pink. I did a pale pink, light, medium, dark, and then picked off the dark end of this pink ombre. And it worked really well. Now let me bring you back down to this pattern. And know that if you want more information, Carolyn Fairbanks did an amazing job of writing a pattern that was very understandable, very easy to follow. So I'm going to just show you the components of it. I told myself to leave it partially undone so I could finish it with you. But that's really hard. For me, it's like saying, here, here's a piece of cake, but only eat part of it right now. I want to finish it while I'm sewing. So it has a listing of what things to cut out. I made a mistake in mine at the numbers and the size. Of the red, you use 2.5 by 21 inch strips. Well, that's supposed to be one strip over of the pinks, and I'll show you why. Then I use one strip of dark red or red at 11 inches and two strips of pink at 11 inches. All right, and then she wants you to cut out, and of the background, she wants you to cut out two squares that are 18 and an eighth by 18 and an eighth. And I'll show you something about that makes it very easy. All right. Now I'm going to bring you down just a little. And let me see if I can zoom in. Yes. All right. What you're going to do is you're going to cut out two darker red strips, 2.5 inches by 21 inches. Okay. Then you're going to cut out two 11-inch strips of pink and one 11-inch strip of red and sew these strips together. Now, you know, if you're going to sew a good amount of strips together, then you should turn, like if you start here and you sew, then when you put this piece on, you should start here and sew backwards. The reason, I mean, it's not backwards to you, but you sew from this end, start here, end down here. The reason you do that, if you started here to sew all of these, especially if you do one that's got 4, 5, or 6 strips, it will actually turn a corner. It's just the way that the feed dogs work. When you're sewing, it'll make it start to turn. So by starting here to sew these two strips, and then when you add a next one, start here and sew it back, you offset that curve. But I was able to sew 3 together, no problem. Another good thing about this is once you sew these together, I pressed mine towards the dark just because that feels better to me. And that way, when you do that and you do it here, then your seam should interlock. So because this seam would go that way, this seam would go that way, so it's opposite when you start to sew them together. So you make these two and you press them really good. When I say press, be careful not to stretch them. Just lay them down, press, press, press. I am an ironing fool, and boy, do I want to get in there and just scrub at it. But if you do, it's going to be stretched. So now once you get these, then you're going to cut them into 2.5 inches by 6.5 inch pieces. And you see how it's dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. And so what you do is then you sew these 3 together and you get a 9 patch. Anytime that you can, I hope she did find her, Bonnie did find hers. Anytime that you can make things like this with strips, you are cutting out a ton of time. And I got to be honest, I don't like sewing all these little pieces together. I'd much rather do this method. So, now you know how you get the main section of that heart. Now, after you've gotten all those together and you make 4 of these 9 patches, and what I would do too, since I used 3 different fabrics of each color, is once I had these little stripe bits cut, I would turn one of them. So just to kind of mix it up just a little bit more. Now, then you had these rectangles. This is right here when it's first cut. That's a rectangle. Then you just take the 2.5 inch squares whoops, make sure I'm on camera. Okay, this is a rectangle. Then you take the 2.5-inch squares and you draw a line diagonal to diagonal. And you see how they're placed. Now, I'm impatient. I'm not an accurate, wonderful, neat, tidy piecer. I just take 2 of them at a time, fold them in half, and press that. So I have a pressed line there. And if I don't quite get it pressed perfectly, then I'll adjust it while I'm sewing just a bit. But that's not the technical way you're supposed to do it. But I also like to tell you how to get it done fast. So you do this. So once you have, you make sure the lines, whoops, where am I again? I did it again. Make sure the lines are set up this way. Then you stitch. Now, when you stitch, anytime you fold fabric, it uses up a little width in that fold. So while I'm sewing this one line down the center, if I'm going to fold it this over to this way, then I sew just to the opposite side of that diagonal line. One thread less. Let me show you. Okay, this is your fabric, and I'm just going to finger press real quick to show you. And you take and you fold that square in half. Ignore this part, but you take and you fold this end. I'm going to fold it like this, and then you press with an iron, and then you end up with your an imprint. You're probably having a hard time seeing that. See it right there? And that way, and normally you'd come and sew right down the middle. Well, what I'm saying to do is, let's say that this is going to get folded this way, okay? This is going to get folded this way. Then when I come to sew, here's the part that's going to get folded. I go 1 thread's width below that line and sew. Whoops. 1 thread's width below that exact diagonal line is where I sew. That way, when I go to fold this, I have just a touch more fabric, because just in folding it, it uses up just a wee bit of space. So if you had sewn right on the diagonal, it would be kind of like this. You see that? So just go, when you make these, just go just 1 thread's width extra to give this more room to fold over like that. Then when you have folded it over and pressed it good, you take and look at the other side. If you see a little bit showing, you might want to trim it up a little bit. Now that's if it still looks reasonably good on front. You really need to try to keep these exact if you can. Cut exact, draw the line or fold it exactly, and then trim it exactly. But if you've got it folded over and it looks pretty good from behind, then what you do is you cut off the back 2 layers to reduce the bulk, so that then when you have this on the fabric, okay, let me just show you. You have this on the fabric. It's open. You stitch just this side of the line like that. You flip it over. You check the back to make sure it looks lined up pretty good. Then you take and cut out these under 2 layers, then press that again, and there you go. So that's very, very simple. It's the easiest way to make a snowball block that you can imagine. So you're going to do four of these, okay? Stitch, fold, and then when it looks good, cut it, then iron it back into place. Now you've got a snowball block. Now you're going to do that to the red, but you're also going to do it to the pink fabric. You're also going to do it to the pink fabric. And so, and I'll show you that again, because if you look, what makes this into a heart is here is your red turned into a snowball block. Here is your pink with those squares across the top that make that into a snowball block. And that gives you the rounded part of the heart. So when it comes time to put it together, she did an outstanding job with this pattern. And so it shows how the pink gets this square that you've already cut out, sewn to the top. Then you take the red snowball block, sew it to the 9 patch. Then you can, now here is the snowball block to the 9 patch. Here is the square background to the pink snowball. You sew them together. Okay, you make 4 of these with the table runner, 4. Then she shows she has the little sashing bits. So you sew the shorter sashing on the bottom of this. Then you come back and actually wait a minute, I apologize. Hold on. You sew the shorter piece to the side. Then this longer piece goes past on the bottom of this sashing and all the way across. So this is the longer one. This is the shorter one. Now, the only other thing is these are set on point. People get so nervous about things set on point because they're afraid it's going to, let me get this. I need to remember to ask Mark to, oops, plug this back in. I think I'm going to need to spend a little time with him on camera care this week. This has been a great little camera. I've had it all these 8 years, and it wasn't expensive, but all right. So it does look woven, yes. Now, people get nervous about things set on point, okay? And as you can see, these are set on point. So then you have to figure, well, how do you do this part of the, how do you do this part of the background right over here? All right. She said, cut out 2 18 1/8 by 18 1/8. Then you have to cut it across the middle diagonally. Well, I was upstairs and I didn't have a 24-inch ruler because when you start to do this diagonally, you've got a lot. Let me go ahead and lean it up now. I think it'll help to show it to you. But anytime you, this camera is driving me nuts. I apologize. I'm going to get Mark to help me get this set up right because it's getting a little old. Sorry about that. Now I'm going to go back out. Okay. So picture this is only 1/4 of the block. So you'd have this way, then you'd have another one this way, and then you'd have 2 down here that way. So I had this big 18.5-inch block, 2 of them. And it said cut them both ways diagonally. Well, you would need a very long ruler to do that. So I said, I think I can figure out how to make that easier. So I took, remember, this is only 1/4. There are 4 more of these. Actually, to make the block, you'd put them this way and then have one that goes along this way and one that goes this way and one that goes this way. So it would come this way. What I did is took the 18 1/8 inch block, carefully folded it in half diagonally, gave it a good iron, really making sure that the edges met beautifully. I did it one at a time, not 2 pieces, because especially with the muslin, it will really stretch because you're cutting on the bias. And we all know the dreaded bias. So I folded the big 18 1/8 inch block in half, so it made a big triangle. I pressed a nice seam. Then I took took the triangle, I took it and folded it the opposite way. So you would have this being pressed, then you press this. And by folding it in half the opposite way, you now have both center points, because what you're doing is you're making a diagonal like this on this big block. And then I just took the little ruler I had and moved it down as I went, saw that the line was right on the diagonal, and I just ran the rotary cutter down. So that's a little way, if you don't have a behemoth of a ruler, how do you cut a big block in twice diagonally? So, and what you normally do is you would make one diagonal cut, then flip that triangle over onto the other one, and that way you just have one big, you have like a stacked triangle, and then you just start cutting down the center of the next one, and then you have 4 from one piece of fabric. And when you make this pattern, you make 8 of these triangles, and you only need 6. So you have 2 to display it or figure out what you want to do with it. So it always can go in the scrap pile. So once you take those, you have the 8 pieces of diagonal. Then she very carefully shows you how to sew them on the blocks. See how she does? 2 of the blocks get an opposing triangle on each end. 2 of the blocks get one side of a triangle on one end, one triangle on one end. And pay attention to the photos and how the blocks are placed, because what you're going to end up with is you're going to have 2 blocks pointing down and 2 blocks pointing up. Okay? And that way, when it lays on the table, let me loosen this. When it lays on the table, it looks really nice. So 2 blocks upside down, 2 blocks right side up. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to get an off-white batting and a muslin backing, and I'm going to quilt this on the quilt on my long arm, but it's small enough you could easily do it on a domestic. And then I'll put my red 2.5 inches folded in half, sewn, flipped over, and so it'll end up a nice narrow binding. And I thought red would really finish it off, and then it will be on my dining room table by Valentine's Day. So there is that. So now I think it's time to go look at the pictures from the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party, all of those show and tells. And then if we have time, we will show the ones that, was it Marsha Hon that sent them? Sorry that I forgot. My daughter came over yesterday. It was very exciting. I couldn't get to sleep last night, so I'm a little groggy, but still here. Happy that you're here. Let's go. Let's go look at show and tell, because I don't know about you, but I love looking at other people's work. It inspires me. It gives me great ideas. So I love our show and tell very, very much. Let me tighten up the camera and off we go. Whoops. Hold still. Okay. I make sure that when I go to the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party that we look at all. I try to take pictures of everything I can that you might like to see. Now, come on. I might need... Oh, there we go. I was thinking that Okay. I was thinking that my mouse battery was dead. Okay. I think I showed you all the different colors that you can, combinations that you can use to make that sparrow quilt. It really was a lot of fun. It's a fun, easy, calm. I love this. Look at these little two birds down here. They're kissing. Isn't that cute? So one of the ladies we had did this with hers, put them facing each other. And what a cool, you know what? I still have room to do that in the corner. I like how she did that. So, yeah, see, I just, by looking at this picture, I got an idea. Look at this, it's made smaller, and how cute. And you know, when she has used green here for these half square triangles, they could be little branches. So when you quilt, you could quilt little branches, or even before that, you could do hand embroider tree, um, little tree branches. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a few ideas because I love seeing ideas to quilt it. I love seeing color ideas. And this will not be the only um, sparrow quilt. I want to do more. Now, this person didn't use any of the sashing in between. So theirs are tucked up nice. And that's a nice busy birds theme, but I like it too. Here's one with sashing. I also added cornerstones because our teacher did one with cornerstones and I loved them. Look at these cute things. There's so many different colorways and it makes sense with all of them. But look at this with the pattern background. So I want to work a little bit more. Look at the dots background. How cute is that? And she kind of did the colors up. Here's another person that put in some kissing birds. There's a good number of kissing birds. That is so cute. So, and when you do the kissing birds, you see here that it gives you a good area to do quilting in. So you could do a little theme, maybe a little nest under them or whatever. So cute, cute, cute. Look at this with birdhouses in between. Actually, that's not the sparrow quilt, but you could take one of the blocks in the sparrow quilt and turn it into a nest. So let me just bring this up a little. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? They look like a tropical fruit salad. That's lovely. All right. So now let's go back to the show and tell. Now, where did we stop? Um, mm, mm, oh my goodness. I'm trying to remember. I show you the purple hotel? This hotel must have been a light finish because then it had purple light showing up on it, and it was a purple hotel. But I just kind of drove down some of the. Okay, this is the teacher's quilt, and she has beautiful little cornerstones that I thought was really sharp. So let me bring these pictures up a little bit bigger. Whoop, not that big. All right, and there's my teacher, and she was Patty Klein. Love her. Okay. And there is the substitute teacher's quilt. I love how colorful that was. And here I'm just going to let the quilts kind of speak for themselves unless I see something specific. Hold on. That. This was a new teacher to the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party. So she brought a lot of gorgeous quilts. She loves the country color look. I'm trying to remember the name. Sharon Dietz, who does some of the wonderful old-fashioned country colors. So she brought a lot of things to show and tell. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? There is such a simple charm to that quilt. And I love the scalloped edges too. Okay, let me bring it back down just a little. Whoops. One day I'm going to learn how to work that new button real good. But I just love that. I think that is so cute. There it is from a distance. Love those beautiful bright colors. And you know what I love what she did is she used a focus fabric on the outside that has all the colors that you'll see in the blocks in the center. Very smart. Oh, I just found it better way to enlarge and move around at least the quilt. Oh, that's pretty. Okay. I have a roller ball on my mouse. So boy, that's easy. I like that. Okay, another view. Isn't that beautiful? I love how she did the two different colors on the leaves. Really gives it extra dimension. Love it. You know, each person I meet has a different outlook on quilting, and it really makes a difference. Cute dogs. We love dogs around here. Baskets of flowers. Cute. Oh, this is cute. Yeah. Anybody thinking about Easter or spring? Hmm. This is a Baltimore album style quilt. Beautiful. Okay. Let's see. Okay. This is Miss Judy Lilly. I want Pat to be able to see her. Miss Judy taught both of us our first classes in landscape quilting. Beautiful. She's a very sweet woman and so talented. This was very cute. I really did like this. Very dramatic. And depending on the colors you use, it could look a lot of different. It would really catch your eye depending on what you like best. This was something about turning corners, I believe, something like that. These geometric quilts are really cute. And this, let me get this a little larger. Look at that. Isn't that cute? The honeycomb and the bee. So creative. I thought that was really pretty. And that's a version of like a Bargello. So many fun things to do. This, I think, was a raffle quilt they had there. Looks like it's got snail trails and different things. Very pretty. This, I thought this was the coolest looking quilt bag that she made from fabric. I thought that's awesome. What a great and stylish way to carry your quilts around. Whose quilt is that? Love the owls. And I'm thinking, what a great way to do a future English paper piecing project by doing a tumbling block. Cute elephants. Yep. This looks like something from the Quilt Show, one of their annual block of the month things. Beautiful. Oh, this is pretty. This is something I think Lisa and I would like to work on together. Isn't that pretty? These are all the teachers' quilts. This is Sue Edmondson. I love this. I would like to check out some of these ideas for the quilt that I would like, that undersea quilt that I want to get finished, because this is just adorable. Really cute. This is, believe it or not, this was what she was doing this year in class, and it's a wonderful hand worked book. And you just put all kinds of ideas and artwork in it. Up back here is a close up of some of it. But journals and books are so in right now. They're so wonderful, and I think that's awesome class. Oh, here we go. We can get a close up of this. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? This is not a book to give to the toddler grandchildren. This is for all of us grown-ups, and it's beautiful. Oh my goodness, got an undersea view there. Isn't it great? Oh my gosh, look. Jellyfish, waves, and fishes. So pick a theme and make yourself a wonderful book full of hand stitches, embroidery, beads, embellishments, fancy yarns, Angelina fibers. Look at this absolutely precious tractor quilt. Oh, this was just a view of all of I did my chain piecing, working on my quilt, and this little new tool that I have is wonderful for chain piecing because it's so easy to cut the little pieces apart. Nice, nice. Here I am holding, I love when I get a long line of chain piecing. It makes me feel like I'm really getting somewhere. And I'm not sure why I did that picture, but there it is. Oh, okay. This is beautiful. This is definitely an heirloom quilt, isn't it? Look at this. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine? Look at that. Tiny little pieces. I think it took her 10 years at least to do this. Absolutely beautiful. Then here is another teacher who made a ruler carrier for herself. That would be very handy. Look at that cute, cute, cute little donkey. And don't you love that? Someone who loves fishing or the lake would love it. Oh, you know what? These are the member quilts now because I was on row 1. So this is my exploding heart quilt from 2 years ago. Oh my goodness. What's that about? Here's my Alaska quilt from last year. Finally got to show some quilts because normally I don't get them done soon enough. So there's the Alaska. Look at this one. I don't know who this person was, but that is precious. I love this one. Oh, wow. Oh, in that with my love of rainbows right now, I love that. Here was one of my classmates last year, her Alaska quilt. Love it. Very nice landscape. Mm, look at this turtle. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, people are so creative. Oh, this was from Judy Lily's class from last year. Love that. Beautiful. This was from a class I took 3 years ago. I better check and see if I finished mine. I doubt it. I love this. That is really striking. We really are offered quality classes. This woman took these black and white prints and then used special paints or markers and colored it in. And we have a class at Myrtle Beach that's do whatever project you want. And she got this finished during her class time that week. Another beautiful Alaska quilt. Mm, I love that flamingo. Oh, that's striking too. Another beautiful Alaska. Another one. You almost don't realize that that's what that is because of the wonderful colors. Pretty. But isn't this fun? So many different things to see. Love it. Oh, another Alaska quilt. And these are the two granddaughter of the woman who runs the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party, and they were in I think is it FFA, and I love the projects they did. And then a nighttime chilly view. I think I showed this because it's all iced. The pool had iced over. Okay. Another view of my sewing machine. Me in front of the sparrow. Then this was the last night, the final showing off their works they did in their classrooms. And sorry about the picture quality. I have to snap them so fast. I love these curve pieces. These are the book pages from Sue Edmondson's class. Oh, get closer to see these. These are so cute. For people who love slow stitching, very nice. Oh, let's see wrong. That is so cute. I love the pride everyone feels in what they've made during their week there. Well, it's a 3-day class, but it's fun. I wish this had turned out less fuzzy because that was a really beautiful quilt class. Look at these. Mm. Isn't that a beautiful quilt? And I tell you what, the fabric choices make all the difference in those quilts. And this is Miss Lily's student. This I wanted to show. This is for our Jody. She did the cutest job making the first octopus that I ever saw in a quilt. This is a statue outside the hotel at a little local museum. And that is a wireframe of an octopus filled full of garbage found on the beach itself. So it's cute, but it also is kind of cautionary. Like, let's be careful, people. Don't ruin this beautiful resource we have. I think that is the last photo. So, boy, that was fun. That was a lot of pictures. Okay. Yep, I got it all. Now let me turn this back around. I think that we're going to do the pictures from the quilt show and the rest of the show and tell next week. I have some really good photos you sent in, but we are now out of time. So thank you for joining me. Let me turn on this lamp. There we go. So let me get back to the screen. There's a lot of photos. So next week we'll do show and tell, all of your stuff. So it's time to send me some of your pictures, and then we'll do the rest pictures of that quilt show, because that was really great. All right, let me close this. I want to come back and see y'all. So anyway, that was really, really nice. If you have a chance to attend the Myrtle Beach Quilt Show, just look online for mbqp.com and you will find it. And we would love to have you join us. There is room. And so, go to the site, find out how to that pin I was wearing started sticking me. It's got a very sharp back to it, so I'm gonna have to work on that. But anyway, that's what I was doing, taking that off. Have you ever gone to get a haircut and the hair tends to feel like needles on your neck? Well, that pin was that one thing getting to me. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a good week. And if you want to make a really cute Valentine's table runner, it's really, really easy, straightforward. Just follow the directions. I've broken it down for you, so that should help. And you'll have it done by Valentine's Day. All right. Thank you, everyone. Any questions? I didn't look. Okay. All righty. All right, everybody. Take good care. Oh, Michelle the Quilter is here. Melanie's here. Hi. Uh-oh. Who has somebody been interrupting? Oh, Melanie. Yes, now that Mark's retired, I've been doing this channel for 8 years and I have not monetized it. But now that he's retiring, I think I'd like to monetize it just because it's a way for me just to make a little sewing money. So I'm sorry. I know I've spoiled you for nearly 8 years with no commercials. But now that there's something happens when you're both fully retired and you live on a fixed income and you start thinking, maybe I shouldn't do so many hobbies. So I thought monetization, that's the way. So I'm sorry for some of you who don't like it. Nazarene, it was wonderful to see you. And let's see what happens. With the monetization, I haven't even gotten paid any money yet because I haven't made enough to, if you've made under 100, they don't send it to you until it's over 100. So who knows? Who knows? I thought about it. It might not be something we stick with. We'll see. Have a great week. Start preparing for your Valentine's. Find someone that you think would love a little homemade Valentine card. And it'll make you smile. Be thinking about our Pat. She's having Cheryl's here. Pat is having a little hard time with the cold temperatures. And I know Don is not happy about the cold temperatures at all. So take good care of yourself. I hope to see you very soon again. And if we do a Jitsi, I'll make sure to let everybody know a couple days ahead so we can all sit in on it. Take good care of yourself. You are the best. Mwah. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good week. Thank you, Miss Mary. It's so good to see all of you.